Hey guys, welcome in. I can't believe it. It's another college basketball season, and he is Ralph Michaels. I am Joe Raineri, WagerTalk.com. We're excited about a week or so into college hoops, and we get to bring back another edition of the college basketball tip-off show, powered, of course, all by WagerTalk.com. 3 games on tap today. We're going to touch base on Wisconsin, Marquette a little bit later this afternoon, Oregon, Seton Hall tonight, and, of course, tomorrow, number 1 versus number 2. That is the Zags versus Baylor. So we'll get to those games. But first, like we do every show, Ralph, is we kind of start with what has just happened and what we witnessed last night. Obviously, some of the top performers are in the game, some of the biggest covers. I'll start with where you are right now in the beginning of this college hoops season. How's it been going for you?
Well, Joe, as you know, if you've watched Wager Talk today, this is my season of vengeance. I had a horrible start to the season last year, never really recovered the right way. It was just something that affected me the entire way, but off to a great start this year. Had my first 5% play. That was a winner last night. So a lot of detail put into it, as you guys know. The Wager Talk Guide is how I start handicapping the season, and that's why I put it out there. I basically take the information that I have to start my power ratings and then put it in a easy-to-read user format, and now you can benefit as well. A free download by just going to my homepage at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, it's kind of, and we can throw up the homepage quick for those of you that might not have been there. But right there, you go to WagerTalk.com. The guide is free. Just drop it in your cart and download it. Guys, it is a must-have when it comes to being profitable in college hoops. And a lot of unknown, Ralph, as we headed into this season here. Still a lot of unknown. A lot of team schedules all over the place. But we're still seeing kids like Luka Garza deliver time in and time. I mean, some things, I guess, haven't changed. And the cream of the crop in college hoops, some very familiar names.
You know, Joe, people have asked me on Twitter, why do you guys talk about what players did well and what players scored? I mean, if you guys watched the tip-off show last year, how many times did we talk about Anthony Edwards and Obi Toppin and OO from USC? Well, it's important to know the players that are really the team leaders. Therefore, if those players get injured, get banged up, you know how they're doing. If those players had an off night and the team still won, you know you can make adjustments and those players don't have to play their A game. Obviously, Garza probably the number 1 name in the country this year, but you know we're gonna talk about every day. We're gonna take 1 minute. We're gonna talk about the best performances of the day, and you're gonna be amazed how much it helps you handicap teams and looking what the leaders are doing game in and game out and how they perform.
Yep, and it's important. We'll throw the list up, and we'll start right at the top there with Luka Garza, Iowa, Whiston, Illinois. Ralph, another dominating performance from what a lot of people think is going to be, well, he's certainly going to be right up there when it comes NBA time when they're calling. And he had a couple of very interesting games there last night with some great performances. We'll throw up the list here so you guys can see it as well. Start with Luka, and then let's work our way down.
Yeah, you know, Quincy Guerrier, Syracuse, you don't see a lot of big scores normally at Syracuse. Yeah. But remember, year in and year out now, Boeheim's zone defense does not start kicking in until January. So they are 2 separate teams. They play faster paced early, and Guerrier 26 minutes, 23 points, 13 rebounds.
You know, that Marshall-Wright State game was interesting last night, Ralph. You know, Summit League versus Conference USA. We know how good Wright State has been over the years. It was a big number to begin with, and there were a lot of question marks around Marshall, but in the end, it was too much Kinsey, and it was just too much Marshall in the end for Wright State.
Yeah, you're going to see one of the biggest covers. The game was only, close to pick 'em. It was a 1-point line, but Marshall ended up blowing them out. Yep. Blows them out 80-51. And then Oklahoma, a name we're going to see a lot, Brady Manick.
Yeah.
UTSA is a fast-paced team. They have the highest scoring guard in Javon Jackson. I did have this play as a free play at Wager Talk on the over, but Manick from Oklahoma, only played 24 minutes in the blowout win, 29 points, 5 rebounds.
Yeah, it was funny too. There was some thought with the UTSA, the new coach, former assistant at Oklahoma there, that maybe, Lon and the boys would take it a little bit easy on him, that it was a big number. I think right at there in the cover, it was 15. It was around 15 or 16 last night, but of course they covered by blowing them out by 24. So much for the feel-good story of we'll take our foot off the gas a little.
Yeah, the other day, too, some people said to me, I gave out Wisconsin against against Bo Ryan's son was coaching the first game in, and I said, that doesn't matter. I'm giving out Wisconsin in the first half. I said, maybe in the second half they take off the gas. Guess what? They didn't take off the gas. They needed that win. So, we'll talk about it. Probably the one name we should mention now, he's not on our list because he didn't play last night, is Cade Cunningham, right?
Yes,
at your Oklahoma State. I mean, he's a true freshman. He is really he is going to be a one-and-done player, and his name is going to be mentioned often here on this list.
And I can tell you this, too, for all of you that sent me messages when Oklahoma State played Marquette the other day. And, I know you got Cunningham, man, but the Pokes aren't any good. You can't go to the, you can't go to the tournament, yada, yada. Yeah, had that work out for you there, Marquette. Had that work out for you. That team is going to be interesting moving forward, but this Marquette team, and we'll start right off the bat here, guys, with one of the marquee matchups here today with Wisconsin. Wisconsin taking on Marquette. We know, obviously, how Marquette did the last game out against Oklahoma State. But Wisconsin, I don't know. I might watch paint dry faster than what this game could be here tonight, Ralph. We know Wisconsin is like watching paint dry when they play. Marquette likes to go up tempo a little bit here. Is it easier, in your opinion, one way or the other? Is it easier to be a slow-paced team who's got to kick it up, or is it being a fast-paced team and, yeah, we're okay, we can slow it down for you?
Well, the scary thing, Joe, is if you look at Wisconsin, they scored 77, 92, and 82. You wouldn't think they're one of the slowest teams in the country, but they were just so efficient on offense. When I look at this game, Marquette gets one check mark for me because they at least have been tested. They blow through Arkansas Pine Bluff. They blow through Eastern Illinois like they're supposed to. And even though they lost to Oklahoma State at home, it was a game where all of a sudden they got some pressure defense played against them, and we saw what they did. When you look at Wisconsin, this is truly their first test. Eastern Illinois, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Green Bay, not tested at all. The 10-point win against Eastern Illinois in the opener was, let's just go through the motions. But when I look at this game, it comes down to this. Wisconsin's starting 5 are all seniors. You look at how regimented and how set they are. I think it's going to be a tough spot for Marquette. Marquette, when you have a point guard like Wisconsin does in Trace, you have 6 seniors in your top 6 men in your rotation. You have 7 players that have scored double digits in the first 3 games. You're shooting 42% from three-point land. With that type of senior leadership, with that type of stability on the Wisconsin line, with the line only being 4, it's certainly a situation where I look at Wisconsin. Marquette's got some nice young players. Yep. And you look at the freshman they brought in, Dawson Garcia. Yeah, but we saw him struggle against Oklahoma State. So when you have a freshman like that against this senior team that knows how to play defense and slows it down, I think this time the slow versus the fast, the slow certainly helps Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of which backcourt steps up here tonight. I can tell you this about Marquette. If they go 8 of 29 from three-point range again in this game, they're toasted. 28% against Oklahoma State with a little bit of pressure. They were leading in the first half in that game, but just a horrific night of shooting. They're going to need to hit some threes against this Wisconsin team. So if those kids step up, I do like the Golden Eagles' chances, but I'm looking at the total here, Ralph. I mean, this game here, I'd want to hold a ticket with the under in this game if I was going to be holding any ticket at all. I just think that this is going to be a possession game, one possession game, and in the end, and we've seen it a million times, it's Wisconsin's pace of play. It usually ends up working a little less efficient, and a little less points on the board here tonight. The total is where I think I'd have to look here.
Yeah, and 24 turnovers for Marquette against Oklahoma State. So, I mean, you turn the ball over 24 times, you're never going to win. Joe, I agree with your thought on that. But to me, I think there's actually more of an edge betting the under the first half. Because I think Marquette would be okay playing that pace early against this veteran squad. And if they get down, or if one team gets down and has to push the pace in the second half, I actually like the overthought, but my opinion would be more for the first half under.
Love that. See, that's why you guys watch, because Ralph and I hardly ever agree, and we mostly just drink as soon as the show's over anyway. So let's move on to Oregon Seton Hall, right? Another big matchup here. Oregon Ducks, Friday night. It's interesting. This game is neutral. So for those of you that don't know yet, it's in Omaha. And Ralph, both teams are below 500. Yes, it's still early on in the season, but both of these two teams, Seton Hall, what's that? 1-2. Missouri, Oregon lost its first game, I think, to Missouri, right? The other night, Missouri came out firing. Yep. They dug a hole they couldn't get out of. But Oregon's a very well-coached team. They got the kid from Rutgers, the transfer, who just lit them up all throughout the game there. This is going to be a tough matchup, man. Who do you give the edge to in this game this early in the season on a neutral court?
Well, you know, it's interesting because both teams lost their top player. Pritchard was Pac-12 Player of the Year. Powell, of course, you know, was in the Player of the Year conversation. Now, Oregon got some good news this morning or last night, and that is that St. John's transfer Figueroa, who averaged 15 points, 5 and 2, is eligible for this game. Awesome. They finally got the news. He was not eligible against Missouri. They only had 7 players available for Missouri. Will Richardson, their guard, is out. Their center was banged up. He only played 18 minutes. So that loss doesn't really surprise me. This is a team that's going to get a lot better, you know, when they get their pieces together. I really look at Seton Hall in this one. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think both teams are a little desperate in that mode. As you said, Oregon 0-1, but they did get some good news. Oregon, remember that when you have Dana Altman, you are going to play slow.
Yes.
You know, they're not Wisconsin slow, but they're in the 300 range slow. You know, there is 300, I think we're 357 teams this year with 4 new teams, although I think 8 or 10 opted out. The Ivy opted out, as did Bethune-Cookman and one other team. So when you're talking in the 320 range last year, that's out of 347. So Dana Altman, a slow coach, although he has efficient offense. Yep. You only have 8 players. I think you slow it down. Yep. With Seton Hall, you're off a loss to Rhode Island. Losing to Louisville was okay. Losing to Rhode Island was nothing that they should have done. And really, they just got outplayed. You look at their stats. The stats are very similar. Rhode Island shot 46. They shot 45. Rhode Island shot 42 from three-point. They shot 38. Free throws, one team made 13, one team made 16. Rhode Island just did everything a little bit better, you know, and Fats Russell leads the way again for Rhode Island. What a player up there. So when I look at this game and play it out in my head, I think both teams' off losses go to what they know how to do best, is be methodical on offense, be efficient, play solid defense, which certainly has me leaning to the under.
Yeah, you had, of course, I want to buy a vowel when I say his last name, though, but the Amarui, who had 31 and 11, I think, in that game for the Ducks. You had Duarte had a 13. Eric Williams Jr. also, or 13 from Eric Jr. And Duarte, but nobody else scored in double figures for the Ducks. So I hope reinforcements is on the way, because they're going to need to get some scoring someplace else at some point here. And how many times last year, Ralph, did we on this very show mention the name Miles Powell? How many times? Because most people had no idea who the hell Miles Powell was at the beginning of last year, except for those that were backing Seton Hall. And we know exactly what a monster he was and what a big loss that is going to be for Seton Hall. I don't know how you take anything but the points in this game. I think it's going to be a one-possession game when it comes down to the end. The number, it was somewhere around 140. That's probably about right, but it is, you're talking about a team here. I think Seton Hall, they've only got 2 guys averaging in double figures, and they're only shooting 31% from three-point range. So they're not a great free throw shooting team yet thus far either, Ralph, which is another thing that we really do need to take into consideration when we start talking about totals this time of year.
Joe, I'm checking the live odds screen at WagerTalk.com and Sports Memo. And guys, I'll tell you what, Rick, the CEO, has done an incredible job getting this line feed set up. From the list of places to the updates you get. Currently, right now, Oregon -3.5 at a couple places, -4 at the majority. The total 140.5 is pretty much a majority across the board. But one thing I love that looking at our line feed is once the games start, it gives you the actual live line update.
Yes.
So it helps you become a live line better. So there's so many situations in a game like Seton Hall and Oregon that let's say you don't want to pull the number here and you don't want to bet Seton Hall plus the 4. I'll tell you what, if Oregon gets out to a 10-2 run and all of a sudden you're getting Seton Hall plus 8, or if Seton Hall makes a run and now you're getting Oregon plus points, there's a lot of situations in the games that you think are going to be tight. You can get a positive, both teams +2, and if you win any of those, you're 1 out of 20, you're going to be in a positive situation. So if you're not familiar with betting live football or basketball, check out that WagerTalk.com live odds screen during the game. You'll be amazed as those lines change, how all of a sudden you think, wow, look at the value at that play now.
Yeah, and the problem with, caveat, guys, the live betting, where people get into trouble is they don't know when to stop during the live betting because every number looks great at some particular point, Ralph. They just keep hitting that button, and that's where it is. You're looking to get a middle in some way, some shape. That if you can't get a decent enough middle, back away. There's no point in chasing it, which is really what happens to a lot of guys is they start chasing when it comes to live betting. But this is, to me, is a one-possession game. If you can get some points, take it and see what happens from the live betting standpoint. And then, of course, Ralph, tomorrow, Saturday, is the big one, right? Number 1 versus number 2 here. We're going to be treated. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch Baylor, their game against Illinois a couple of nights ago. We've watched the Zags in West Virginia. I believe we were both on West Virginia getting 9 points in that game. West Virginia, a tough team, going to be having a lot of fun backing them this year. But number 1 versus number 2, Ralph, 2 contrasting styles for sure. How do you see this happen? How do you see this playing out?
Well, you said pace and no pace, right? Same thing here with Gonzaga Baylor. And, I was on Baylor against Washington. Washington has their top player. He was suspended. So if you're betting the Huskies, make sure he's back before you ever spend any money on the Huskies. Illinois, we saw Illinois challenge them early. And, the Zags team lost a lot. But, you keep getting guys in, and Teague and Mitchell and Butler can play. And, you're going to have enough offense. I actually lean Gonzaga. And what I saw when they were tied with Illinois and pulled away was enough for me. When Baylor pulled away from Illinois, it was because they played a different type of defense and they put some pressure on them. But when I see Gonzaga and what they did against West Virginia, Auburn, and Kansas, your strength of schedule is, is it number 1? No, it's actually only 8 or 9. So, but you've played probably the 3 toughest. If you played 3 foes, you've played the 3 toughest foes. In this game, because of the guard play, I will take the Zags, not because of their pace, but just because of their offensive efficiency and them knowing the system they're in. And I think Baylor struggles to have that go-to scorer. Butler's Butler, Teague's Teagues, Mitchell's Mitchell. But when you're playing Zag's defense, who's that go-to guy to score? I'm not sure if I can pull that guy out and say he's the guy I absolutely want to bet on. But with the Zags, it seems multiple people step up with that. So I do lean the Zags in this 1-against-2. By the way, Joe, since the 1-against-2,
okay,
the previous 1-against-2 was last year. It was Michigan State, Kentucky.
Yes.
And this is only the 9th 1-2 since 2005.
Wow.
So we're 16 years in, and this is only the 9th 1-against-2.
Yeah, if you guys are just joining us for the first time, he is Ralph Michaels. I'm Joe Raineri. Ralph Michaels is going to be throwing stats like that at you guys. There is nobody. The man has got, it's like spreadsheet after spreadsheet rolling around in his house over there, guys. I've never seen anything like it. I will say this, though, Ralph, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. If the Zags win this game tomorrow, can we give them the Big 12 trophy? Just say it, because you've already beaten Kansas.
You beat Kansas, you beat West Virginia, you beat Baylor.
And now you've beaten Baylor. You're the champs, guys. You're the Big 12 champs.
Although, Joe, I will tell you this. I think the Longhorns are going to be there. I think Shaka Smart finally has the guys he needs to play defense where it's not Kansas and everyone else in a year more, guys. This West Virginia team and this Texas team are close. That, you lose a guy or two with COVID at the wrong time in the Big 12. That can be a lot to said with who wins that conference. Yeah,
the thing that impressed me with the Zags win over West Virginia, very tough. But Gonzaga can play a little defense. They did a pretty good job on holding West Virginia. I think they were 37 or 38% from the floor, West Virginia. So the Zags did a pretty good job. They showed that they're not just big bodies that can shoot. They can play some defense when they needed. And as far as the Bears go, the thing about that Illinois game that blew me away was Illinois got a guy in the middle, 7'2", 300 pounds. Baylor throws 4 guards at them, right? And they won the rebound battle. Baylor won the rebound battle with a dude who was 7'2" in the middle. So they can shoot. They can play stifling defense. This is a huge test for both of these teams at this point in the season. But like you said, which backcourt do you trust? Do you trust Suggs and company? Who do you trust in this game to hit that shot when you need it most?
Yeah, it'll be, I won't be on action in the game, but
no, you can't.
It is rare that on a college football Saturday, for the most part, I love college basketball, but still, if it's college football on Saturday, I'm going to watch college football, but the remote will be working with a little TV in the corner having this game on. So it'll be a treat for all of us.
Yeah, if the Zags can stay out of foul trouble, get the ball down low on a consistent basis, I think they're going to have the edge. But keep in mind, guys, again, they've been in isolation, these two teams, over the last couple of days, too. So they're in a pseudo bubble right now, Ralph. So they've had to spend next 48 hours are going to be all about these guys on social media hearing about how Gonzaga shouldn't be number one, Baylor shouldn't be number one, Gonzaga should. So this is going to be a fun game tomorrow to be able to check out 1 versus 2. And like you said, it's only the 5th time now in a while. And really, that Kentucky-Michigan State game wasn't what we thought it was going to be last year. Hopefully, this one delivers on Saturday.
Yeah, Joe, like you said in the bubble, for those that don't know, these two teams both played in Indianapolis on Wednesday, right. So they've been sequestered since that time, ready to go for that Saturday showdown.
All right, so let's do it here, Ralph. This is the part of the show here, guys, and just want to let you know, by the way, also, college basketball's back, which means the college basketball tip-off show will be back. Ralph Michaels, Joe Raineri here, and, of course, we'll be rotating in your favorite handicappers from WagerTalk and Sports Memo. Dave Koken will be by with us. Drew Martin will be by with us on a consistent basis. So when it comes to college hoops, you guys want to know what's going on. You want to talk about breaking down games. You want to talk about strategies. This is definitely the show that you guys want to hang with, and we'll be going full board come Monday. And one of the things that we like to do, Ralph, of course, is point out some of our best bets and, of course, some of the one underdog game that we might have circled and been looking at. So I'll start with you. Who's the best bet here on the card tonight that you're looking at?
Well, Joe, I'm gonna actually give out a client release.
Woo!
And it is in the added games. It's game 275, Southeast Louisiana +9 against Cal Baptist. And, we've seen conferences now, the Big Sky, the Sun Belt. There's going to be multiple conferences playing back-to-back games in the same facility. Montana, Idaho, Southern Utah played yesterday. They play again tomorrow in Southern Utah. So when you travel, you're going to play twice. Well, guess what? This Southeast Louisiana team was not a good team. They were, a 10-win team last year. They did return 4 starters. And like a lot of those Southern small schools, when you start the season, you are taking trips from hell. So here's what they did. Wednesday, they played at Purdue-Fort Wayne. Saturday, they played at UAB. Monday, they played at LSU. Wednesday, they travel out to California, and they play Cal Baptist. Well, guess what? They beat Cal Baptist. They were +9. They were trailing by 8 or 9. They came back. They beat Cal Baptist. So now they don't have to travel. They stayed in Riverside, California. They play again tonight, and they're getting 9 again. So when I have a team that already has beaten you, and this Cal Baptist team has 0 returning starters, they have 11 newcomers. Why were they laying 9 with 0 returning starters? Because against USC, they took the Trojans to overtime, but that was an outlier game. Cal Baptist made 23-point shots against USC. I'll tell you what, they're not going to make 23-point shots the rest of the year. So they had one big game as an outlier. Now they're laying 9 points again to a team that just beat them. It is a client play for me, and I see no reason why Southwest Louisiana can't beat them again tonight.
I love it. I think that's love that play. As a matter of fact, we already bet it actually earlier, so we're ready to rock there. I can't wait to hear who your dog is, too. This is the one part of the show, guys, where Ralph and I, when it comes to the dogs, we'll both look at each other and go, really? Are you gonna be playing?
Well, Joe, I thought we were going dogs. That is my dog.
That is your dog. That's what I'm saying. But so the fact that you're double dipping, and he does that a lot too on the show, so get used to that. But I'm gonna look in my neck of the woods here, Ralph. I'm gonna look at the Miami Hurricanes tonight here, taking on a team that really shouldn't have a team in Stetson. The number was 18.5 or 19 to open with. It might be closer to that 20. And while it's a big number, I don't see it. I believe Stetson lost to a team called Emmanuel. There's how many Division I schools are there in the country, Ralph? 300?
Well, there's 357 now.
Yeah, that's not one of them, all right? So I'm just letting you know. And they ended up losing. So Stetson is absolutely horrific here. I do it. Miami's got the size. Miami's got the ability to. They're trying to get into gear. They played North Florida a couple of days ago there. They didn't particularly shoot great, but I think this is what Jim Larinaga and company need at this point in the season. They'll go out there. They'll get their frustrations. I can see this being 85-50, 80-50, somewhere in that ballpark there. So don't be scared by the 19 or 20 points to lay. I think Miami cruises to an easy victory against Stetson here.
Yeah, Joe, I'm looking at that Stetson box score as we speak. You were at home against Emmanuel, and you had 10 assists. Emmanuel had 17 assists. So you shot 41% at home. You shot 31% from three-point land, and you had 10 assists on the day against I think they're an NAIA school. I don't even think they're Division II. So I might be wrong on that, but that's not a good performance.
I love it. And the one dog I'm looking at, Ralph, and I'll ask you about this team. Auburn has been horrific, and now they're taking on a South Alabama team who's been getting double digits here tonight. South Alabama has been a pretty darn good team. And listen, Auburn is not going to shoot 37% for the rest of the season. There's going to be some progress made here. But to me, at this point, double digits in this situation, why is Auburn a 10-point favorite over anybody, especially with that loss to Central Florida they're coming off? So I think the number is wrong. And when I see a wrong number like that, and I like an underdog in this situation, plus they're 1-5 against the number in their last 6, this being Auburn, give me the 10 points to double digits with South Alabama in this game.
Yeah, my power rating is right at that number, and I'm trying to look up my note that I had on Auburn. There are only 10 teams this year, Joe, with no returning starters.
Right.
Now, Kentucky, you have the number one recruiting class. Well, you have 2 5-stars and you have 4 4-stars. So that's a little bit different. But you take an Auburn team with no returning starters like Bruce Pearl. Yes, you have a nice recruiting class. And yes, you have some nice transfers. But, we saw a struggle against St. Joe's, who isn't a good team, go to overtime.
Yep.
Blowout against Gonzaga, no surprise. And lose to UCF, which is pretty loaded with a bunch of transfers as well. So I agree with you. The Auburn is just living on a reputation from last year, being 25-6 with what Bruce Pearl did. But, you lose your guys like Purifoy and Okora, you're just not the same team. So anytime I have 0 returning starters, I am not going to lay points with you. I played against Kentucky with Richmond. I cashed that. I kicked myself I didn't play UCF against Auburn, but to me, it's a no-brainer. And by the way, just for those viewing, there are 2 teams, East Tennessee State with 0 returning starters and a new head coach, and Western Illinois, 0 returning starters and a new head coach. And guess what? If you got the Wager Talk College Basketball Guide, you already knew that.
Exactly correct, guys. And I don't, we said it once, we'll say it again. And Chris, if you can throw it up there on the screen, just head over to WagerTalk.com, head over to Ralph's page, and you can get that download for free, especially to start the season. This is what you guys want to do, be able to thumb through it, take some notes, look at some of these matchups. If you've been so focused on football and you haven't had a chance to dive into college hoops, this is where to start. Head over to WagerTalk.com and grab Ralph's College Basketball Guide. It is free. And that's it, Ralph. I can't believe it. We made it through a show. We haven't yelled at each other. We kind of agreed on a lot of stuff. Kind of sucked, actually. But the bottom line is college basketball's back. So I'm good with it. I'm excited. It's going to be a great season. It's going to be a great end to 2020, a new 2021. But it's never a bad thing when you got college basketball to talk about during the week.
Nope. 2 4-0 teams so far this year.
Yep.
Eastern Kentucky and Texas Arlington. So,
Emmanuel's
Texas,
not in that? No? Okay, good.
Well, I will tell you the difference here, and we'll talk about this more, Joe, as we go through some handicapping tips. Texas Arlington is a team that's 1-3. A lot of people look at that 1-3 record and see that you're losing, you're getting outscored. When you find those kind of dogs that keep games close and lose the game straight up, but cover, those are the ones you mark down and are usually money when you get to December.
Yeah, Chris, I think we got a live shot into Emmanuel playing Miami. Can you hit the second graphic there? Let's show everyone what the game looks like. There it is. That's it. Total reject. Love it. Guys, best of luck to you this weekend. Please make a note, come back, subscribe, like us here on the YouTube page, and get notified. Every time we go live, we're going to start Monday coming at you each and every day during the week, making it a profitable college basketball season. He's Ralph Michaels. I'm Joe Raineri, WagerTalk.com. Guys, best of luck. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
It's not a secret how much free quality information Wager Talk, Sports Moment, and the Gold Sheet produce. And next up, we're giving out the Wager Talk College Basketball Guide. This might be the most informative collection of sports betting info we've ever produced. We're covering returning starters, offensive, defensive, and tempo rankings, recruiting rankings, head coaching info and background, and so much more. Even if you are the casual basketball fan, head over to the Ralph Michaels page and download this amazing guide for free.